All right. Remember I told us about W3 schools, that we should visit there and learn more about your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So in case you are lost or sometimes you want to do something, you don't know what to do, always make sure you go to W3 schools, and it's a perfect place where you can get all the information needed to build your site. So let's create something. We still have our project in Visual Studio Code, or if you are using Java or whatever editor you are using, maybe Notepad++. We are going to create a form or an HTML page, and I'll call it first assignment .html. Yes, I'll call it first assignment .html. In order not to start typing all this, let me just do some copy and paste for all the basic things that we need. Yes. Where's my body? Let me end my head. Okay, and start my body. Okay, so I find a shortcut to align my information or my tags when they are scattered like this. It is called Alt on Windows, Alt Shift F. So Alt Shift F will help me arrange my my tags in the appropriate way that they should be. Okay, I have a title here. It's called assignment. Okay, so now we have our head, we have the body. So inside the body, this is where I want to do my main work. So for those of you using HTML5 syntax, the aside and the rest and the main, that's very good. So, but I won't do all that. I just want to give you a basic background of what our page should look like. Let's go back to share. Remember, there was a time, let's see, where I'm trying to get the assignment so that I can follow structure. Document. No. This one. Okay. Yes, this is what we want to do. Logo, this. So now, if you look at the structure, the way I did it, I have a big div here, and inside I have a logo, and I have developers college. So to do that, I can just do, I'll put a big div. I can decide to size the div. So this is the big div. But inside of it, I want to have one div to hold my logo and another div to hold the text or whatever it is. So I'll have these two divs. So these two divs are in this main div. Okay, so I can decide to style it using inline style that we learned the last time and say float. One should float to the left and one should float to the right. Okay, but this is a bad way of doing this. So, but we can still go ahead and still try it. It will still work. Okay, so now we are going to have two divs inside an outer div. Okay, so but for us to see the margins of this div, I'm going to apply a style so that we can see the margin. But later I'll remove the style. All the style I'll be hiding so that because the margins of your div should not show. So I'll do border style. Let's border width of 2px. Border style. I want dotted. So this is the external div. So for each of my other div, I'll do a border style of, I'll make it 1px, and I'll make it solid so that I can see the difference. I'll copy this to here. So right away, I can decide to check what that looks like in the Explorer. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And we don't seem to see anything. So let's put some content. Save, refresh. Okay, so we see I'm on the left, I'm on the right. Okay, so this is the placement. So, but for us to be able to make them come together because they are standing at the extreme end of the page, we can decide to give this outer div a width. Like I said, this is the unprofessional way. So we'll do the unprofessional way, then we'll also do the professional way. Let's see. Okay, so they are coming closer together. So now here I can put my logo. Here I can put my the other text that I want to put. Okay, so I'm done with the header part. So you can decide to put your image inside and remove all the borders, but I'm just showing us the skeletal structure of what we agreed on. This, okay? So let's move on to the bottom one. So also for the bottom one, there are two methods that you can use. So I want to put a separator, so there will be like a line break. So for the bottom one, I think looking at the structure, I'm going to need 1, 2, 3. So I'll be using 3 divs. So I can as well say I want an external div of 500, closing div. And inside I want 3 extra divs. Okay. F. So I have this. And I would also float them. But for all of them, I want to float them left, because if I float one right, left, and I float the other one right, how would I float the middle one? That would be a problem for me. So what you can do here in the professional way is to float them all left. Let's float them all left and see how scattered our page will look. Okay. So I'll float them all left. I'll put first column for us to see it. Second. Okay. So let's see how it looks. Yeah. Now they are together, so close together, which is okay. Remember our main width, so we can decide to give this 1000, or maybe I just give it let's give it in percentage. Let me do 70%. So let's see what it does. Okay, so this is the length now. But let's stick to this same length. Sorry, let's stick to the same length and leave it at 500. Okay, so now I have this. So now both of them are looking like they are just near each other. First column, second column, third column, no space in between. There's one more thing I can do. I can add a break line and style my break line and probably say clear. There's an attribute called clear, and here I want it to clear left. Okay, so let's see the effect of that on my page. Now, because I said clear left, I can see this border widely opened. So now I can decide to give each of them a padding, or to give them sizes so that they can have enough space in between them. right? Because everything is just together. So I can do my padding. And if you want to learn more about padding, I should open the page for us here. So you can do padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left. Or you just try and style your whole div with this padding. So this first one means top, the next one means right, the next one means bottom, and the last one means left. So you can check that out. So I can decide to give each of them a padding and say maybe just padding, general padding around it. So we said the top should be, I want 2px, or let's do 5px, 5px, 5px. Let's just give everything 5.5. Do we all know what padding does? Is there anybody that doesn't know what padding does? Is there anybody that doesn't know what padding does? Did I talk about the box model the other time? Please, I need a response.
Can't remember.
Let's see. This, did I talk about this?
No.
No.
Okay. Let's quickly talk about it before we go on. Okay. So I remember I stopped at cascading order when we were treating CSS. I talked about inline, embedded, external. Okay. And then I told you there are different ways we can import CSS into our project, which is inline, blah, blah. The last one, import, which I didn't talk about because I don't want to disturb us so much, because you can actually import another CSS in a CSS file. So that means in an external CSS file, you can import another external CSS file in that CSS file. So it's kind of complicated. So let's not talk about it. So now the box model. This is an example of when you are using your divs, for example. See, internally here, this is where you have your content. For example, let's say first column, that's my content, right? I can decide to give it a padding, okay? So padding will give space, a little space on top, right, left, and center. So I can decide to put a particular space, okay, between the external body or the edge of the web page to the content, okay? So that is what padding does. Then after padding, I can decide to put a border. Already we have a border on our, where's the web? Already we have a border, which I put this. You can see now this text, there's a little space in between it. It's not touching the line, right? Okay, so the line is the border. So I can also give the border width and the border size and everything. Then the last one that comes is the margin. So margin between, from this edge, if you can see my mouse, from the edge of the screen to where this line or this border starts from, that's a margin. So you can do margin left, margin right. From this place to this place is a big margin, okay? So you talk about the margin from the edge of the width of your browser to your div, and after that you have a border. Border adds width. Either you decide whatever width you want to give your border, and then before you can access the content, you can also put a padding between the border and the content itself. So that's the box model. Okay, so that's where the concept of padding and border and left margin comes from. Okay, so let's, there are more things that they talked about here. Padding, this can be done, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it helps you to determine the thickness and the rest. So, that's just it, I've explained it. Okay, so now let's try and implement that in our project. Okay, so here there's no semicolon in between.
A question, sir.
Yeah, your question, yes, I can hear you.
Yes. You on margin?
Yes. Margin. Let's go back.
Do we put a fixed margin when we are having to design pages, or how do we adapt the margin with the different screen types? For example, someone is viewing my web page on a tablet or on a phone, or
yes.
typical computer. How do you code in such a way that it adapts to the various screen sizes that we do have?
Okay, so there are ways for professionals on how they do that. So you write your code before you need to write your code, your separate CSS to apply when somebody is viewing on the web, another CSS to apply when you're reading on your smart devices. Okay, but something came up which I tried to explain the last time. Somebody, when Twitter started, somebody built what they call Bootstrap for Twitter. Okay, so and when the person built Bootstrap, they used it for Twitter, and the whole web changed. So some of us that were designing website before Bootstrap came, it was a lot more difficult than this. But since Bootstrap came, we do less work. Okay, Bootstrap is doing all our work for us. So what you just need to do is Bootstrap is a set of CSS and some set of JavaScript that you put on your page. So it does all those margin and all the change of devices for you. So for example, this page, you are viewing it on the web. So you can see how it will look if you are viewing it on, for example, on your iPad. Okay, but if you are now viewing it on a mobile, it has shrunk. Everything is still showing. Okay, so this is Bootstrap. So you don't need to write the code anymore. Just import Bootstrap and use, and all this margin and the rest takes care of itself. But that doesn't mean that you can still not apply margin to content like this or padding. Okay, like space between here and here. So like I said, sorry, I want to show something. Sorry, let's see if we still have it. I'm not sure I have it anymore. Wow, where did I put this thing? I wanted to show us that this template, this is actually a template, right? I didn't really do much here. I just stole something online, a Bootstrap template. Bootstrap template okay, don't worry. When I remember it, I'll show us exactly what this looks like. So you can view different Bootstrap templates to see how your website looks. If you like it, just edit it to suit your taste, and that would be it. Okay. So, but when I remember the site we stole this from, I'll let you know. So, but just have it at the back of your mind that most of all these changes from smart devices to web to other things, it's being handled by Bootstrap if you are using Bootstrap.
Okay.
Yes, and that's what most web developers use now. Okay, so going back, I decided to do this like this to see. I actually want to see the effect of this. Might not be so visible to the eye now. Let's see. Okay, it's so visible. So we can see now that because I applied the same margin, the same padding to top, left, right, and bottom. So it's put my content in the center. Okay, so this is good for me, right? So I can decide to copy the rest for all of them. Same thing. Same thing. So let's see how separated these guys are. Now they are well separated. So, but now when you now put your, remember we did not size, we did not put a fixed width to our div. So as you type, it gets bigger. Okay. So as you type, can you see it's getting bigger? Till it will push this guy to this edge and it can't move further here. So it will drop down because this is the width. This is the maximum width that we have set for. Let's see. Let's see that in action. Can you see what I'm saying? Okay. So now it will push it further to the extent that it will not be able to align properly because we gave a fixed width to this guy up here, to this border. So now you have put too many content into this. So you're going to push your column down. And this will not look good for your website. Okay, so like for example, this whole thing here is displaying here, but when you minimize, everything comes down. Bootstrap does this for you automatically because it's expecting that this view is a mobile view. Okay, And for the ones that it cannot break down like that, it gives you a scrolling option. Okay, so that's it. So this is another way you can do your this one. That's it. Yeah. So you can have your welcome, and then in the center you have a div where you put your form, and you have this. So this is your assignment. Okay. So it's looking like this, and on professional way, but there's another professional way which I didn't teach, but I would advise us to go and learn more about it. I tried it before the class, just before the class, to see how it works. Okay, that is this. Let's copy it into our page. So instead of having these three div using float left, we can put a central div and use a CSS container. So we can write a CSS and say this central div, let's give it a container. And in the container, we can, in our head, we can put our style. Let's use style. What kind of styling am I doing? Is this inline, embedded, or external? If I'm writing like this.
Embedded.
Embedded, thank you. Okay, so I can have a container. So what have I created? What is this? When I have a dot. Container.
A class.
Yes, thank you. So I can say display is flex. I did not teach us flex. Okay, so we can say display is flex. Let's see how that's used. We still need to put one more thing there. So this will also do the same thing for you. So you can now decide to add your padding, your blah, 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 and the rest of them. Okay, so find out about flex and how to use display. We have display inline. There are many inline table, this flex. But for people that are doing mobile development, they should know more about flex. There's one more thing they added. If you want all divs in the container to grow automatically, so they added this extra class to it. So when you study more about flex, you understand what this value means. When it's a 1, when it's a 2, when it's a 3. So now this means that when you see this, for example, something like this, it's saying that if you find any div in this container class, style it to a flex of 1. Okay, and flex of 1 means that they can auto grow by themselves. So it's not a fixed width whereby you can't grow more than the specified width. E.g., when we get this 500. So when you have flex, it means that it can auto grow more than that. So we have not limited it to a particular width. So let's save and refresh. Now you can see. So this has helped you to style it and put it in the right places. So this is a professional way that I will advise you to go. So we have this amateur way, which I've done by floating everything left, but we've seen the disadvantage and we can fix it if we want to. But the best way is to just write a class in CSS. I'll just set everything in place. Then we can now start. Where's our form? Do we have any form anywhere? Where we can just copy and paste. Let's see. Okay, where's our form? Okay, let me steal a form somewhere. So I can just copy and paste it into this. Let's say the middle div. And see what will happen. Okay, so if you set your form very well, it will show well. But what I'm just trying to prove is that you can have your form in the middle, and you can have something else here, just like J3 did. And this. So this is what you're supposed to do. I was just expecting a skeletal view because that's what we've done. Then if you want to advance, you can now start putting color and the rest. So that's the assignment. That's where we are going to stop for the assignment. So let's go to the main lecture of today. We'll be looking at, we've talked about this, tables. Do you want me to teach tables, or we should ignore it since we already know divs? So there's no point treating tables, because what I want to do is that exactly what you've done here, you can use the table to do it. Should I talk about it?
No, you can skip.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
keep it, sir.
Okay, all right. So we leave tables and we go to what's the next one? Yes, debugging HTML and CSS dev tools. Okay, so some of us might know this. When you have a page like this, we can actually change the content of this page as it is, even while displaying the page. For example, all you have to do if you are using Chrome, right click and click on inspect. Okay, so when you click on inspect, as you move, you can see under elements, there are different tabs. Element console. Console is for JavaScript, sources, network, and the rest of them. Okay, but under elements, you can actually see, let me move this up. Okay, or let's align it to the, click here, you can see where you can position it. Either you want to position, you want to bring it out, you want to put it on the left or at the bottom where it is now, or on the right. So if I put it on the right,